At 2:17 a.m. on a humid August morning, a 911 call came in from a payphone outside the closed Quick Save on Del Mar Avenue. The caller didn't give his name. His voice was steady, almost practiced. "There's a body behind the old Carver textile mill," he said. "South side, near the river. You'll want to get there before the sun comes up." The line went dead. By the time patrol cars arrived, the sky was still dark enough to hide what the streetlights revealed. A man lying face down in the weeds, one shoe missing, wrist bruised, skull fractured. His wallet was still in his back pocket. No gun, no knife, no drugs. Just a body where no one important was supposed to be. The victim was identified 3 hours later. Malik Johnson, 32 years old. Warehouse worker, former high school honors student. Father to a 6-year-old daughter named Ava. And, according to first press release, a known individual with prior police contact. That single line would shape everything that followed. Malik Johnson was not famous. He wasn't notorious. He didn't trend, at least not until after he was dead. He grew up 3 blocks from where his body was found, in a neighborhood the city called economically distressed and residents called home. His mother, Renee, worked double shifts at a nursing facility. His father left when Malik was 9, and no one spoke of him after that. Malik learned early how to stay quiet. He was the kid who finished assignments early and waited for others to catch up. Teachers described him as polite and serious. Coaches said he had potential but lacked aggression. A guidance counselor once wrote that Malik was bright but realistic about his limitations. That phrase stayed with him. After graduation, college proved too expensive, so Malik took a job loading trucks at a distribution center on the edge of town. 12-hour shifts. No benefits, but steady pay. When Ava was born, everything narrowed. He stopped going out, stopped drinking, stopped dreaming in big sentences. His life became a loop. Work, daycare pickup, frozen dinners, bedtime stories. On the night he died, Malik was supposed to be home by 10:30. He never made it. By 9 a.m., the police department had already formed a story. According to investigators, Malik had been involved in an altercation. There were indications of a struggle. No suspects at the time. No evidence of robbery. A spokesperson reminded reporters that Malik had been arrested once, 8 years earlier, for trespassing in an abandoned building. Charges dropped. That detail appeared in nearly every article. By noon, comment sections filled with assumptions. Probably drugs, wrong crowd, another tragedy, but what do you expect in that area? Renee Johnson watched the coverage from her living room. Ava asleep beside her on the couch. Malik's phone buzzing unanswered on the coffee table. She knew her son. She also knew how quickly the world decided it didn't need to. Detective Aaron Cole had worked homicide for 17 years. He'd seen enough bodies to know when something didn't sit right. Malik Johnson's case bothered him, not because it was especially violent, but because it was quiet. No witnesses came forward. No cameras nearby. Even though the mill sat less than 300 yards from a newly renovated bike path, the river masked sound, the weeds in movement, and then there were the injuries. Malik's wrist showed patterned bruising, like pressure marks. His head wound wasn't consistent with a fall. It looked like impact from an object or a knee. The medical examiner ruled the death a homicide caused by blunt force trauma. But no one upstairs seemed in a hurry. "It'll solve itself," Cole's supervisor said. "Street justice. These things do." Cole didn't argue. He'd learned that sometimes the loudest resistance came from silence. Malik clocked out at 9:02 p.m. Security footage showed him leaving the warehouse alone, backpack over one shoulder, phone in hand. He stopped at the bus stop across the street. Waited. He never boarded the bus. His phone data showed a short call at 9:14 p.m., outgoing 37 seconds. The number was blocked. Then nothing. No text. No movement. No pings. Just a digital flatline. When Cole requested cell tower dumps, he was told the paperwork would take weeks. High volume, the clerk said. Limited resources. Cole wondered which resources were limited. And for whom? 3 days after Malik's death, Ava asked her grandmother a question no one had prepared for. Did Daddy do something bad? Renee froze. She understood the question wasn't really about Malik. It was about everything Ava had already absorbed. Sirens, whispers, television voices that sounded certain even when they were wrong. No, Renee said. Your daddy was good. Ava nodded, satisfied for the moment, but the question lingered, heavy as a bruise. On the south side, people talked. They talked about the police cruiser seen idling near the mill that night, about the plainclothes officers who sometimes checked IDs after dark, about how the area had changed since the bike path opened. How developers wanted the riverfront, but not the people who lived beside it. A man named Leon Harper came forward quietly. He didn't go to the police. He went to a local journalist instead. I saw them talking, Leon said. Malik and two cops. He wasn't running, wasn't yelling, just standing there. The journalist asked why Leon hadn't called it in. Leon laughed once, sharp and humorless. Because I like breathing. Detective Cole finally received the preliminary incident reports. Two officers, Daniel Price and Matthew Rowe, had logged a field interview near the Carver Mill at 9:21 p.m. They reported making contact with a male matching the description of a burglary suspect. No arrest, no use of force. Interaction lasted approximately 2 minutes. Cole stared at the timestamp. Malik's phone stopped transmitting at 9:19. 2 minutes, according to the report. Cole requested body camera footage. He was told the cameras were not activated. Technical oversight. Internal Affairs said. Cole wrote that phrase down. Renee Johnson had never spoken at a podium before. Her hand shook as she held Malik's photo. Him smiling awkwardly at Ava's kindergarten graduation. My son is not a headline, she said. He is not a statistic. He deserved to come home. The crowd was small but attentive. A few local cameras. A few signs. The police department released a statement that afternoon expressing sympathy and reaffirming their commitment to a thorough investigation. No officers were placed on leave. Buried on page 7 of the autopsy report was a detail that didn't make the news. Malik had hemorrhaging consistent with prolonged pressure to the chest. Not long, but long enough. Cole had seen it before. Positional asphyxia, the medical examiner said quietly. Hard to prove without witnesses. Harder still without political will. When the cell records finally arrived, something unexpected appeared. That block call at 9:14 p.m. wasn't random. It originated from a department-issued phone. Officer Daniel Price's phone. Cole read the entry 3 times. Then he felt it, the slow, cold certainty. This wasn't a street altercation gone wrong. This was something else. Price had called Malik before the encounter. Not during. Before. Which meant they knew each other. Further digging revealed that Malik had once filed a complaint. Years earlier, about harassment during a traffic stop. The complaint went nowhere. Price had been one of the officers involved. The department had buried it. But Malik hadn't forgotten. And now neither had Cole. 6 weeks after Malik's death, the district attorney announced the findings. Insufficient evidence. No charges. The death was ruled undetermined circumstances. Protests followed. Candlelight vigils. Angry speeches. Then the city moved on. Price and Rowe returned to full duty. The bike path opened on schedule. The mill was slated for redevelopment. 3 months later, Detective Aaron Cole resigned. Before he left, he mailed a packet of documents to a civil rights attorney. Phone logs, reports, timelines. It took 2 years. But eventually, a civil suit forced the release of additional records. One included a deleted voicemail recovered from Price's phone. It was Malik's voice. You said if I talked, you'd leave me alone, Malik said. I just want to go home. The recording cut off abruptly. There was no prison sentence. No dramatic courtroom confession. The city settled with Malik's family for an undisclosed amount. Price resigned quietly. Took a job in another state. Ava grew taller. Learned to read. Learned to ask fewer questions. Renee kept Malik's photo on the mantle. And every night, when the neighborhood fell into its quiet hours, the river kept flowing. Past the mill, past the bike path, past the place where Malik Johnson was last seen standing alive, and asking only to go home. True crime stories often end with answers. This one ends with a truth that lingers longer. Sometimes injustice doesn't scream that IT whispers, and by the time enough people listen, the damage is already done.